Hello, Slammers. Coach Dustin here. Good morning. It's probably morning that you're watching this. Hopefully, you're able to catch this on your way to the game today. Um, I know we have a little bit of a drive, so probably the best time to do it. Maybe you're eating some breakfast. In any case, one of the biggest questions that often comes up, especially when we're starting a new season and we have a lot new players, is Coach, what do I do? Right? What is my job? What's my role? How am I supposed to play? Um, so I would first of all say, think of all your experience that you've played before, and don't second guess yourself too much. Right? Kind of go with some of your natural instincts and play it. The last thing I want is for any player to um, play too timid. Right? Be aggressive. Go for the ball. Do what we've kind of been going over in practice for the last week or two. Think about opening the ball into positive space, which means towards the opponent's net. Try not to have your first touch stop. Kind of keep it moving, but also keep the ball close to you. Think about opening up, and think about if there's no pressure, dribble the ball, take that opportunity. Once the defense and the other opponents start to move, then you pass the ball because space is going to open up for you. And the other thing I think that really, when people get a lot of adrenaline, they begin to get too panicked. They stop looking and they just get panicked and they kick the ball. I'd rather today you guys make a mistake because you looked up and maybe it took you a second too long. But I'd rather you be looking up and before you make your pass than just blindly kicking. There are moments when you get so much pressure, maybe you received a bad pass, maybe you made a mistake, and so the only safe thing left to do is just kick the ball out and try to clear it either out of bounds or up the field. I know that's going to happen, and that's that's the right call to make when that. But too often, players begin to fall into that trap of feeling too panicked. Take a breath, receive a ball, look up, pass the ball, or make a move with the ball, whether you're dribbling or not. That's probably the biggest thing Coach Kevin and I want you guys to do today is to calm down. When you're on the ball, you're taking a moment to look up, you're moving with it, and you're looking for a good pass with a high probability pass rate, okay? Meaning it's most likely going to make it to the person. You're opening up your body, you're moving your body and your feet to allow you to make the best pass possible, okay? So, with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the positions and the starting lineup, and kind of talk about how we want to do our rotations. First and foremost, let's just take a look at our formation, which we have written down as a 3-5-2. So let me just kind of describe how that works. The 3 is easy. We're talking always from the back to the front. So our 3 is our 3 backs here. So Bailey is going to be playing in the center back position, almost more like a sweeper in a way. So Olivia Carly being our left and right back, you always need to stay a little in front of Bailey. And Bailey's going to make sure that you don't get caught behind. So as Bailey's going to move the line up when we're attacking, and she's also going to be last defender when it comes to defending. That being said, don't forget the principles of pressure, support, and balance. So if the attack is coming from the right side, and if you haven't seen that previous video, go to the link in Snapchat, or Team Chat, not Snapchat, Team Chat, and pull up that video as well, or just in this playlist, you'll see it on my YouTube channel. So make sure you pull up the video on defending, but it's basically that principle of whoever's closest to the ball applies pressure, and the other two provide support or balance, depending on where the attack is coming from. Okay, so that is our back 3. Okay, so there is the back 3. That is the 3 part of the formation. Now let's move on to the 5. All right. So our 5 is going to be a little bit trickier to draw out because I have the players kind of spaced out in a slightly more natural way. Let me go ahead and move our 10 up here a little bit, okay? So you're kind of starting to now see a little bit of what I mean by the 5. Let me kind of move this winger here because Wingers can move around. So you kind of see if I bring these all in line, how we have 5 players. This is our midfield, okay? So if we were to look at 3 lines of defense, we have our back line, we have our midfield line, and then we have our attackers up here, which I suppose you could call a line, even though it's just 2 players. But we don't really want them all just lining up in a line like this, of course. So Eileen is going to be playing our 6. This is our defending or holding midfielder. So as a holding midfielder, you kind of imagine these two, your midfield line and your back line. And the holding midfielder is trying to make sure the ball stays in front of her. And if it bounces, if the ball makes its way through and breaks our midfield, hopefully Eileen is able to pick it up and redistribute it. Now she might redistribute it by playing a back pass if the pressure is really tight and we need to kind of get the ball into some more space. But ideally, the idea is that Eileen would pick up that ball in this middle section between the 2 lines and try to redistribute it forward. So Eileen, already you can see how playing in that position, I don't need you to be back here, and we kind of went over this in practice. Your experience as a back has yet that tendency to want to kind of fall back, and we've played you as a sweeper before. So now we're asking you to actually kind of occupy this space. So wherever you see your attacking midfielders, in this case Emma and Haley, you want to be kind of a distance back so that you can pass to them, but also if there's a ball that is stripped from them or kicked away from them, that you're the first person there to get it. All right. Cool. So there's our 6th position. And so I'm kind of now getting into positional playing, which I didn't quite want to do, but I think I kind of have to because it's a little bit more odd or just unique in terms of how these positions work. So here, Emma and Haley. And you'll see down here, by the way, on the left-hand side for our subs, you'll see some numbers next to your name. So those are positions that you could be subbing in for. So make sure you understand those as well. The red players are just those who aren't with us tomorrow. So I've blocked them out. This position here, right, as a attacking midfielder. From this point of the field, we are definitely launching into an attack. So we're trying to break through their midfield line. So they're going to have a bunch of midfielders here into the attacking third so that we're now facing against their back line or their defenders, right? So however, they likely will be playing 4 backs, as is very common. They might be playing 3 backs like us. But whatever it is, there's going to be some backs back here, and we're trying to get through their midfield and into that area, in that space. So you have options here. If I'm receiving a ball as a midfielder, say Haley's receiving the ball from Eileen, my options are going to be trying to play forward to this space out here, where our winger, like Addie, would pick it up. And in this case, Haley, just understand, for any midfielder, we don't need you to play the ball directly to Addie. We actually want you to play it into this empty space, because this pocket right here, and same thing as this pocket up in here, like these 2 areas, I'm going to draw out 2 little boxes here. Those areas are left open by defenders. Defenders pinch in and they're trying to protect this middle area. So these are usually free spaces. And if Haley, if you had to just blindly put a ball, put it up here, and Addie's going to run up to it and get it. You don't need to pass it directly to her. We want you to play it in front of her. Okay. Haley, you might also, or Emma in this case, you might find a pass to Maya here as our central or more attacking midfielder, right? We have our striker, Roxy. Now, we'll get into these 2 in a second, but they may not necessarily be on top of each other. We might have something more like this. So you could be playing a through ball, which is basically through their midfield line and helping one of these girls picks it up. You might also find a switch. So you could either switch it back to Eileen if that's where it came from. You could use Eileen at any time to pass, and Eileen, you could switch the field to Emma or to Sarah out here on the left wing, right? So I think if you're asking what am I supposed to do as a central midfielder, you are to distribute the ball to the most offensive player we can. Now, sometimes the most offensive player is not an option, and therefore the most offensive player is to go back to Eileen so that we can switch the field to the other side. Maybe even Carly has found her way up here to support as well, and so now you could bounce the ball to Carly, and Carly would then, we'd use a triangle sort of shape here to get it back out to our wing, right? So you have a lot of options here, and I know it feels like a lot to take in. I mean, I'm already talking 10 minutes here, and you're wondering like, well, how do I just simplify this? I want to simplify it this way. When a midfielder receives the ball, they're trying to put the ball to the most offensive player they can. That doesn't always mean it has to be the striker. It doesn't always mean you are able to. That's just the idea. And if you can't, and sometimes what happens is players in this midfield, the habit is, well, I have to move the ball this way, so no matter what, that's what I'm going to do, even if it's to the other player. Wrong. Giving up possession of the ball is one of the things I do not want you to do, and we're going to avoid that by only making through passes or forward passes that we see, we recognize, and we go, okay, that's going to work. If not, then you might as well be playing back or switching the field where we can open up more space and stretch out our opponent more. Okay? So there we go. Now, while I'm at this, before I move on to the wings, also just kind of recognize who your partners are in any situation, and just think of partners in terms of triangles and diamonds. Okay, so Carly, if I'm asking who are my partners to pass to, I have Addie out here. Okay, I have Haley. Okay, so there's our two players up here. Maya could actually be over here as well. And potentially pick up a through ball in this case. You could also be looking at Eileen as an option. I think this is probably the more likely one. So you can kind of see here, there's a diamond shape. So now these are your partners. Other partners could be Ava and Bailey in this triangle shape as well. Right? So you have all of these partners here in this vicinity, and those are yours. Eileen, you've got just about everybody on the field as a partner. But your most closest attacking partners are going to be Emma and Haley. Your defensive partners are these three backs. So you can kind of see why you're such a pivotal role in getting the ball, breaking through that first line of defense, which is going to be their forwards, right? We got to get through there. And so ideally, we're trying to find Eileen a lot to kind of make that work, but not always, right? We have, matter of fact, I want to take that back for a second. Eileen's kind of more of a holding position where we really want to be moving the ball down the sides of the field to get through that first line. We don't really want to be getting through that first line of defense through the middle of the field. Now, when opportunity presents itself, sometimes it's the only opportunity because they've left the middle open and they've plugged up the sides. That's not usually the case, right? Usually the middle is the most congested area, and it's very hard to get the ball. It's much easier to play out into these spaces on the sides. So anytime we're building out the back, meaning a goal kick, or we just win possession, we're going to be trying to go down the sides where there's more space to play with. Okay, so on to our wing positions. All right, so wings have a lot of work to do, and as you can see, we also have two strong subs here to make sure on this big field that we maintain speed and endurance throughout the game. All right, number one responsibility of a winger is to create space. Well, how do you make space, right? Position yourself close to the touchline. All right, that's over here on the sides. Why? Because now you're forcing the opponents to bring defenders and stretch them wide. What does that do? It opens up space in the middle. And if they don't come out and get you, then you're an easy pass and you have an easy route down the side, okay? So number one is just your positioning alone can really help the team. So if you find yourself in here in the midfield, that's not a great place to be. If you find yourself crossing here, now you're way out of position. Okay, not where we want you. So you kind of think about this third. As a matter of fact, I'll just draw. This is your space right there. Okay. and even more so this space. That's your space. It's also the whole length of the field. You can help in bringing the ball out the back, right? You can be part of a goal kick. So you could, Olivia, let's say Ava and Bailey are back here organizing our goal kick, right? And we have Sarah would be way out here on the touchline, right? Really creating as much space as possible. And if Ava were to play the ball out to Olivia, now Olivia needs to find her next option. So Sarah might be checking in. Emma, you could be checking in as well, so that Olivia has somewhere to go with it. Right. So now that winger has been playing back in the defending third. They're playing through the middle. This is a great spot for them to be involved in perhaps Emma looking for an option, even Eileen looking for a through pass. Let's say Emma drops back here and brings defenders with her. And so now Eileen has a through ball option to get up to Sarah up here. So boom, there she goes. That only works if Emma drops back to create that space for that through pass. If Emma stays here, right, then Sarah, you're going to take a more defensive posture so that Eileen has an option out this way. So that relationship between our midfielder here with Emma and our wing is very, very critical for you guys to be gauging what the other person is doing. And if Emma sees Eileen's in trouble and she drops back to here, or maybe she's trying to just get rid of a defender, right? Maybe she sees an opportunity. So she's like, hey, I want to come in here just to bring defenders with me. And then Sarah makes a run forward and Eileen's able to put that ball through. Okay. So that's another option for wingers. We love it when a wing is able to just drive the ball down to here. Now, that kind of starts to segue into our final two of this. So let me just kind of move our trusty little guy here. Okay. So now we are getting into our central attacking midfielder here, which would be Maya, and then our striker, which is Roxy. So what are these two positions all about, and how are we going to be building our attack? So we have, even before I quite get to that, because we've been working on this in practice so much, I want to really see where this plays out. I would love to see this today, if it happens. Let's say Sarah wins the ball and she's running down the side. We've been practicing our overlaps, right? This is a perfect moment for Sarah to start to drive the ball towards the middle and for Emma to make an overlapping run this way, okay? So we know what's going to happen is as Sarah comes in this way, defenders begin to pinch in with her. Emma makes an overlapping run this way, and then Sarah is able to play the ball either in front or behind the defender and make that pass to Emma, who then has a scoring or a crossing opportunity, right? So that's how we're going to work in our overlaps is same thing on this side. If Addie wins the ball, one option is for Addie just to drive all the way down here and then make a cross, okay? A stronger option is for Addie to start to drive in the middle, right? That brings Haley out here to the side, and now Addie can dump it to Haley, who now has a lot more extra space because we've pulled their defenders into the middle. And so Haley can take a more direct path towards the goal from here, right? Or obviously now we have our striker and our attacking midfielder to be present as well. So let's go ahead and bring them into the mix and talk about the two, okay? So Roxy is extremely fast. Those who have played with her know she is a track star and has incredible speed. Such speed that if you're playing to Roxy, there's no problem with just putting it a little over her head. She will catch up to the ball. I promise you that. So that striker just presents such a threat to the opponents when they see her speed and they see how quickly she can and how aggressively she's going to be on the ball and pushing towards that net, that she will draw a lot of defenders to her. They will force their defensive line to give her more space and to kind of play more conservatively. This all works in our benefit as a team, right? Even if Roxy's not the one scoring the goal, it doesn't matter. She becomes such a threat that it really opens up space and options for other people as well. So what we can now do is, let's just talk about, so Roxy's position as the striker is to mostly keep herself very deep in the opponent's territory, always be on that last defender, okay? So in a defensive position, right, we're going to have a lot of our players pulling back, right? We might have a shape that kind of looks a lot like this, okay? So now we're pulled back, and you can kind of see we're taking away anything here down the middle. We're forcing everything out wide. Maya's come back as well to kind of roam around and try to win the ball back. Our striker is the one person we're going to keep high. Wherever their last defender is, just so she's not offsides, that's where we're going to push her, because as soon as we win a ball, we call that the transition phase. We need to transition back forward and as quick as possible. So Roxy's going to be up here in the front, kind of stretching this, right? Maya's going to help back and try to be a close option and maybe take away some of their, because they're going to be building an attack, so they're going to have players all over the place, and Maya can be intercepting passes. But you can see how pretty quickly we can fall back into a defensive posture. But the major difference between Roxy and Maya is Roxy's going to keep things stretched. Maya is falling back more onto our half of the field. All right. So now let's go ahead and move back into more of an attacking posture. So if I'm a number 10, what's my job? What do I do? Okay. The number one thing we want out of this player is explosiveness, quickness, meaning they're great dribblers. As soon as you get that ball, boom, you're exploding into an attacking phase past their line, right? Here, oftentimes, you may only have one option, and if you don't have a pass available to that player, you're going to be forced to do some dribbling around some players as well. Usually in an attacking phase, though, we're going to have our wingers flying up the sides here, stretching their field and presenting very dangerous options. So Maya, as you're making your attack and you're breaking through their line, don't discount putting a ball over to here, or let's say Roxy's kind of on this side, putting a ball in front of Sarah, and Sarah's just going to take a shot from just outside the box. Same for Addie. So this is a very important distribution of attack, I open to call it. So you're the one that's basically like pulling kind of raising the flag in war, saying charge. All right, this is it. This is the attack. We're doing it. So as soon as we get the ball to Maya, you make that turn and you try to get that. We're breaking their last line of defense in this case, or at least their midfield line. So we really want you to just take that ball. Boom, you're good. You got it. And now you do have, I'd say at this point, this player has your two options are to dribble and take the shot, or to make a pass to someone else who's going to take the shot, right? So that's kind of like where we're at by this phase, right? We're trying to just basically make those few last passes into a shooting opportunity. There might be moments to slow down the attack. Let's say for whatever reason, and this happens, right? Like a player falls and you're up here all by yourself, but you've got 3 defenders in front of you. They're just going to slow you down, right? Now you can try to take the shot, but sometimes we just need to delay for a minute so that your wings can move up and join you. And that happens actually for Roxy as well. So Roxy, sometimes you're so fast that you get up there and now you're being defended by 2 or 3 backs all by yourself. And when that happens and your back is facing there, you can, the tendency, which I love, is for you to just turn and take the shot. But you're going to have all this support coming. They're just coming right behind you. So Maya's coming up. You could just back pass to Maya and boom, she's got it. You could side pass over here to Addie or to the other side to Sarah. So just know that you have all this support coming behind you. We're even going to have Emma and Haley down here. So we're kind of building our attack. You can kind of see how this shape starts to look. When we're attacking, we're generally much more spread out, right? Because when we spread out, we have space, right? So now Eileen's up here. Our backs are kind of holding our line right here about the center line, okay? Right, there we go. So just kind of think for a second when you're attacking, just kind of look at this shape right now. You see how it's just kind of like this big triangle shape, right? If I were to just kind of draw. Right. That's a very, very good shape to be in. I think in some cases, if the ball's attacking from the left side, we'd bring Olivia over here, Bailey would shift, and Carly would shift, right? So now you can see that shape starting to form. So now we have some diamonds, and think about your partnerships and who's your new partner from this side. Okay, so yeah, when we're at an attacking position on the field, we really want to be spaced out, and that because when we space out, it forces their players to spread out and cover us, and when they have to spread out and cover us, that creates more spaces for us to work with the ball and take shots. All right, let's reset just a little here and bring our 8s are back. We got our 10, our wings. Okay, I'm going to take a step back here and just go back to these two players, or these 3 players. From a defensive point of view and how we want you to react, just remember this. Let's just, actually I have a ball here somewhere. Where is it? There we go. Here's our soccer ball. Okay, let's just remove these players, move them up here. All right, here's our ball. So if Bailey is coming to put pressure on this player with the ball, all right, the support is such that it takes away any through passes through here. So see how this player doesn't really have an angle to really put a ball through here without Olivia stopping it. We're forcing that pass to go out wide, right? Same thing here. Carly's she's back and behind just enough that she doesn't really have a great option to pass the ball through here. Carly's going to get it. Whereas if you were up here, that's a much easier through ball. And Carly, if you're too wide and behind, there's still too much of a play behind you. So that's why we pinch in and we fall slightly back behind the person. So these are two, Olivia and Carly, you are supporting Bailey in this moment. If the attack's coming from this side, now Olivia has to step up and press, okay? Bailey, you're dropping back here to take away that angle of a through pass. Carly, you're calling what we call balance. That's the case if a switch happens, you're immediately the person to go and put pressure on, right? It's very important that we maintain these two in a line, because if Carly, if you're kind of back here behind Bailey and the attack's coming from here, what you're allowing is you're making the offside line be all the way back here, right? So now that gives the opponent opportunities to pass a ball, to have somebody actually standing back here. If you're up here next to Bailey, the opponent can't stand further than here until a ball is passed. All right. So Bailey, Carly, in this situation, you need to be in a line. Now let's just go ahead and just, for good balance, let's put it out here. Okay. So Carly's putting pressure on somebody out here. Okay. At this moment, the most important thing for Carly to do is to stay in front of this player and to not let a ball be played this way. If the player wants to try to play back or back this way, those angles, we'll give them that. We just don't want balls into the box, right? So Carly's going to stay as front of this ball and this person as much as they can. Once they start, let's say we move this play happening more here. Once we're as we get closer to this box, this needs to get tight Tight, 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 okay? We need to play this person really tight, really slow them down, and take away any shots possible, all right? In this particular situation, Bailey would be supporting here, and Olivia would be providing balance here. Maybe just a little bit back, right? So yeah, we're really starting to squeeze in, make the playing field very small, and plug up those spaces. All right. Cool. So if I were to ask the question, what am I supposed to do, right, in the most simple way possible, right? How do I answer that for each individual in the simplest way possible? That's sort of what this whole video was about. How well did I do? Did I kind of simplify the game in a way that you guys are able to just really focus on what you're doing? I always like to think of soccer, and I'll kind of end on this note. There are only 3 things you can do when you have a ball. You can dribble, you can pass, or you can shoot. Okay? That's very simple, right? You're dribbling, you're passing, or you're shooting. Where you are on the field dictates to who you can pass, right? And your skill level. I mean, if you can send a long ball and just boot it forever, great. But for the most part, when I was talking about the partners, the people that are close to you, okay, put in your mind right now, who are my partners when you're on the field? Anytime you're on the field, before kickoff, when you just get put on a sub, look around, find your partners, know their names, okay? That's now you know who you can pass to. Know your space in terms of dribbling. How close is a defender to me? If I have space, I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to move it. I'm going to go ahead and take the space that they're giving me for 2 reasons. One, I get up the field and we're moving the whole team together. And 2, the other team is going to start moving. And as they move, because you're moving, opportunities are going to present themselves. Okay, you're going to see passing lanes open up because movement's happening. It doesn't. It's why does that happen? It's the law. It's the law of I can't help myself, because as you start to move the ball, even if the defenders of the other team, even if the players of the other team have been told, don't move, stay where you are, they cannot help themselves. They see a ball moving, they will come to you, right? If you move it, they will come. Great. So we've talked about who I can pass to. We can talk about when should I dribble, right? So now we know when to dribble. Hey, I've got some space. I'm going to dribble until I see a really good passing opportunity. Okay? And then when should I shoot? More often than you think. You can only miss a shot if you take it, right? You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So let's be aggressive. Let's be mindful that, hey, when we're in those areas that we need to be, mainly once we're getting, say, here, Haley, that's a shot. That's shooting distance. Emma, this is shooting distance. And even if the shot doesn't go in the net, now we got all of these other people to get that second ball, meaning after it deflects off of somebody's leg or it pounces off the goalie's hands, maybe it hits the crossbar, you're there for that second. Okay? So we've talked about when do I dribble? We've talked about who are my partners and who can I pass to? What are my options? It's pretty fairly limited. And then when do I take my shot? Right? Everything else is probably just positioning and where you are on the field. And so we've kind of talked a lot about where to move your body, right? We've talked about in practice about, trying to get the ball onto that forward-facing foot, right? So that way the ball, your first touch is going in a positive direction. We've also talked that, hey, if you're facing negative, meaning you're facing towards your own goal, your really only passing option at that point generally is backwards. That's your best, safest pass, because and you all know this and you've all seen it. If I have another player, say, where'd my ball go? Let's turn my ball on. If Haley has the ball on this side of her, and she's being pressed by one or two defenders, like let's say she got double teamed, right? How often do you see a midfielder still try to force it? All the time, right? They always try to force it. And what happens? It gets kicked away. They get dispossessed. It gets kicked somewhere else. Instead of that, use your back, send it to Carly. And now Carly has the option. She has space, so she can start to dribble. She can wait for the defense to start to move. And then when she sees a good lane, because Addie's now moved out here to the wing, she's now got to play to Addie. Well, now Haley's been relieved of any pressure, so now she moves up this way, and Addie opens it with her foot, right? So she uses her right foot to put the ball moving in a positive direction. So then she can play a through ball, which Haley catches up to and receives. So you can see how where you're facing is a very large dictator of where the ball is going to be passed to or where you're going to be shooting, right? How are you facing when you have the ball, when you receive it? And that's why we try to always position ourselves in a way that we open ourselves up to the field. We don't want to be looking back at our own net receiving a ball, right? Now, sometimes we have to because there's a defender on our back that's pushing against us. And then at that point, we now know, well, the only way to really go with that ball is back. We're going to pass the ball back to that individual. And then we can resume to play forward. So we start building the attack. Alternatively, just to kind of go over that one more time, Haley could pass the ball back to Eileen. And Eileen says, hey, there's a bunch of space over here. I'm going to put it onto my left foot, forward, and then out to Sarah. Or forward to Emma. And then Emma's going to use her left foot to keep the ball in a positive direction and play it up to Sarah. Right? So you can start to see how what we were working on in practice is really setting yourself up to be successful on the field in moving the ball down the field or moving it, switching it, or moving it to wherever you want to. And also that if you find yourself in a position where you're facing a certain direction and you can't go forward, then play it backwards because that's the safest pass to maintain possession so that we can then rebuild the attack, right? With somebody who's facing forward with the ball. So maybe that kind of helps simplify and also puts into context everything we've been working on in practice and how we want to see it play out on the field. It's not all going to happen right away. These are things we're going to keep working on for all fall or all spring league, throughout the summer, into the fall. But we're going to continue to build upon it, and hopefully this is a big mindset or a paradigm, right? A paradigm is like a view of the game, right? A way of thinking about the game. That's what a paradigm means. Kind of like a perspective. So now you have some perspective on what the overall goal and vision is and how this formation really helps us to win soccer. A lot of fun. Okay. You're probably about at the parking lot. Put on your cleats. Get some water. Come out to the field. We'll meet up and we'll go win a game. Have a great good luck to you all. Good luck to all of us. See you on the field.